Hi everyone, Ken here. This week was a very important week for Tesla. Yes, there were bullish headlines. FSD moved forward in Europe. Tesla stock climbed back above $400. And we also got more visibility into Tesla's next AI foundation, including AI5, AI6, and Terafab. But I do not think this was simply a bullish week. I think this was a week that showed both Tesla's progress and Tesla's pressure at the same time. And for long-term investors, that balance is the most important thing to understand. So today, I want to quickly break down what really changed this week, what matters most, and what I think investors should be watching from here. Let's start with the biggest story, FSD in Europe. To me, the real significance is not just that Tesla may gain progress in the Netherlands. The bigger point is that FSD is starting to move beyond being only a US story. That matters because once Tesla starts entering a more serious European regulatory framework, the conversation changes. This is no longer just about whether FSD works technically. It becomes about whether Tesla can begin fitting autonomy into the rule systems of the broader world. And that is a very big shift, because if Tesla can gain traction there, then the long-term FSD opportunity starts looking much more global. It is not just a US software story anymore. It starts becoming a platform story. That is why I think this week was important. FSD did not just move forward as a product. It moved forward as a business and regulatory narrative. Now, at the same time, Tesla stock moving back above $400 was obviously important. But I want to be careful here. The stock did not start the week from a position of clear technical strength. Earlier on, the setup still looked cautious. So I do not think investors should read this as suddenly everything is perfect again. What I think happened is that the market started adjusting away from excessive pessimism. And that is where the UBS move matters. The rating change from sell to neutral was not a full bullish call. It was not a buy. But that is exactly why it matters. It tells you that Tesla is becoming harder to view through a purely bearish lens. Yes, there are still concerns around EV demand and margins, but at the same time, the market can no longer easily ignore FSD, Robotaxi, AI, and Optimus. Tesla is becoming too complex to dismiss as just another auto company. So to me, the stock move this week was less about euphoria and more about repricing. The market may be starting to admit it was looking at Tesla too negatively. Another very important shift this week was how FSD is starting to connect to real economics. With safety score 3.0, supervised FSD driving is being treated more favorably in insurance-related evaluation. And I think this is one of the most underrated developments of the week. Why? Because FSD is slowly moving from being a future dream into something tied to real ownership value. That is how major products become mainstream. They stop being just impressive. They start affecting actual behavior, cost, and daily decisions. Tesla still has a long way to go here. But once FSD starts connecting to insurance and real-world savings, it becomes easier to understand why adoption could grow over time. That is a much stronger business signal than just saying, this feature is cool. On the technology side, this week also gave us a clearer look at Tesla's next AI foundation. We heard more about AI5 and even early discussion around AI6. Then you add Terafab, supplier checks, and advanced hiring activity, and the picture becomes more interesting. What matters here is not that a new chip magically changes everything tomorrow. What matters is that Tesla appears to be building multiple layers ahead. That is what serious AI infrastructure planning looks like. And I think this is one reason Tesla continues to be misunderstood. A lot of people still analyze Tesla mainly as a car company, but Tesla increasingly looks like a company building long-term AI systems with vehicles as one part of a much larger strategy. This week did not prove that all of it will succeed, but it did show that Tesla is pushing those foundations forward in a serious way. Now let's talk about the biggest problem, and that is HW3. To me, this is one of the most important issues investors should not ignore, because this is not just about delayed technology, it is about trust. You have customers who paid for FSD years ago and they still do not have a clear answer. At the same time, Tesla keeps talking about newer hardware, newer AI systems, and the next phase of autonomy. That creates a real tension. And from an investor perspective, this matters because Tesla's brand depends heavily on belief. People buy Tesla not only for what it is today, but for what they believe Tesla will deliver in the future. So if that trust starts weakening among existing owners, that can become more than a customer frustration story. It can become a credibility story, and credibility is one of Tesla's most valuable assets. That is why I think HW3 is not a side issue. It is a serious test of how Tesla manages the gap between vision and delivery. We also had reminders this week that investors need to look beneath the surface of headline numbers. Reports around Cybertruck related purchases do not automatically mean disaster, but they do remind us of something important. With Tesla, the headline alone is never enough. You have to ask what is underneath the number. How strong is the demand really? How sustainable is it? How much is organic? And how much is being supported in other ways? Tesla is a story-driven company, but serious investors still need to look at the quality behind the story. And I think this week reinforced that very clearly. At the same time, Tesla continues making smaller owner-focused improvements, app updates, dashcam telemetry, UI refinements, pet mode improvements, and grok-related features may not move the stock much, but they still matter, because one of Tesla's real strengths is that the ownership experience continues evolving after delivery. That does not create a huge headline, but it does build loyalty over time. And for a company like Tesla, that matters more than many people think. So if I had to summarize this week in one sentence, I would say this: Tesla moved further into the future this week, but it also exposed the friction that could shape how fast that future arrives. FSD in Europe was a real step forward. The move back above $400 showed the market may be rethinking Tesla. AI5, AI6, and Terafab showed that the long-term AI roadmap is becoming more concrete. But HW3 trust issues and questions around the quality behind some of the numbers also reminded us that Tesla's story is still messy. And honestly, that is probably the right way to understand Tesla right now, not as a company that is simply winning and not as a company that is simply struggling, but as a company pushing aggressively toward a much bigger future while dealing with very real present-day friction. For long-term investors, that is the key lens. Let me know in the comments which story mattered most to you this week. FSD in Europe, Tesla stock above 400, or the HW3 issue. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. And if you want daily Tesla analysis with a long-term investor perspective, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Before we wrap up, let me take a moment to introduce myself. I drive a Tesla Model Y, and at home, I've installed a Tesla Powerwall, so I actually charge my car with solar energy. I truly believe Tesla is shaping the future, and that's why I share the latest news and insights here on this channel. I'm from Japan, but I want to connect with Tesla fans all around the world. That's why I also create an English version of my videos. YouTube now lets you switch the audio into your own language so you can enjoy it in whatever language you prefer. Most of all, I'd love to connect with Tesla fans everywhere so we can support Tesla together. I also share updates on X, so feel free to follow me there and let's connect. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.